background, the landscape, if you will, for your email template if you're going to use an HTML email template type, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the email templates. The letterheads, though, allow you to create, like I said, a wrapper for your email, kind of the background colors, the headers, the footers, etc.
I just want to let you know that. So.
There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create a letterhead real quick. So let's see here. Click on letterheads. And you can see we have a few different letterheads. We have ones for client emails that we use. We have just a blank one. And we have one for internal communication letterheads. So if I click on our internal communication letterheads, I'll just show you what that looks like. These are for any emails that we send automatically through the system using the workflow rules in Salesforce, or if we're sending emails to each other through Salesforce, we can also use this on any of those email templates. You need to be on Enterprise or above edition to be able to access those workflow rules. So if you're on Professional edition, you won't be able to automatically send internal communication, but you could still have an internal communication email template if you have any internal emails that you send from department to department internally. But basically all it is a header that I've put in here with our logo and a little note at the top saying that this is internal communication. I'll go ahead and go into our list of letterheads again, and we'll create a new one just so I can show you all of the settings that you have available to yourself. We'll click on New Letterhead. We'll make it available for use, and we'll call this one, let's call this Webinar Demo. Okay, the description, you could put a description in if you want to tell people how to use that particular letterhead or what it's intended for. Once you do that, you come into the actual edit section. You can see here for your emails, you have background colors, header properties, lines, and this is not modifiable as far as the layout is concerned, but as far as what options are here and what you have to work with. What is customizable are all of the colors and sizes of these particular elements. So if I want to go into my background color, and let's say I don't really care to have a background color, I can always just make that white. So if I click on Edit Background Color, this pops up. You click on your color selector and just make it white. Okay. The lines, there's 3 different lines in the email templates. You have a top line, a middle line, and a bottom line. If I edit one of those lines, you'll see that we have a size as well as a color that we can specify. So you can have a height of 25 if you want. For the most part, if you just want to make it blank, I usually set the height to 0, and I set the color to white just to make sure that it's not going to display on our email template. But if we want something to wrap the footer at the bottom of our email, we can actually make that color a little bit more prominent or make it more closely related to our website colors or our company colors. I'll go ahead and put a color in there, and I'll make this 10-point height just so we can really see that. And then I'll make the bottom line. I'll just set that one to white and 0 as well. The other portions of this are the header and footer. Excuse me. The header, you can actually put in a logo or a banner, which is what I did on one of the other email letterhead that I showed you that had our internal communication on there. The header properties, again, you have colors and sizes that you can set. You can also set horizontal and vertical alignment of any of the logos or graphics that you may put into the header. So again, you can put anything you want in there. I'm not going to change that for now. I will make the footer a little bit smaller. So we'll just do 20 point, and we'll leave the alignment alone there. So let's say I want to select a particular logo, and we should have some saved in our system so I can show you how to select those. But you have all of your images, all of your documents in Salesforce available to you, so you'll want to save a document for a banner first in your documents in a folder where you'll make sure you remember where those are. And you can see that we have our email footer and header here. So if I click on our email header, you see this is our header email here. This image isn't all that great. We're working on getting this updated, but you could have your graphic team or yourself build a header with all of that in for your letterhead. What this is going to do on the letterhead is actually wrap whatever email template with this letterhead, the header, the colors, all of these particular settings that you're putting in place with whatever email template you decide to use this with. So I'll go ahead and hit save here. Actually, you know what? Why don't I go ahead and put a background color so we can see that this is actually doing something for us. I'll just put this background color as red so it really stands out. Ooh, there we go. And we'll save it. You can preview it as well, but once you save it, it'll also give you a preview of that particular letterhead. So it doesn't look like a whole lot right now. What we're going to do, though, now is go ahead and use that in an email template. So now that we have our letterhead created for the background, we'll go ahead and create an email template to use with that letterhead. Emails can be segmented by folders. So let's say you have different departments within your organization, or you want to have emails around particular processes. You can do that as well. So for example, if you have your sales process that has multiple emails that you use, maybe an intro email, a follow-up email, a closing email, so maybe you close them on a deal and you want to say thank you for doing business with us. You'll want to put those all in one folder so that as people are working through their opportunities, they can go right to their opportunity email templates and use those for communication with potential clients. You can see that we have, project emails, invoice emails. These are basically just ones that we use on a daily basis for our processes. The system always comes with a set of basic templates. So if you go, and I think it's in Unfiled Public, you can look at some sample email templates as well. So anything that says sample, those are ones that Salesforce puts into the system for you to get an idea of what's possible with these. However, most of the Salesforce standard templates are going to be text templates, which are very plain, vanilla. You're not going to have the template letterhead, and you're not going to use the letterhead on those. The text ones are very, very plain Jane, very simple to use. Great for quick communication, but not a whole lot of customization available there. And I'm going to show you real quick what I mean by that. So let's say I click on New Template here for a new email that we want to make available for use for our users. If you're going to get a list of options, and these options are pretty important to understand. There's a lot of documentation on Salesforce's help and training website, and I'll try and do as best a job I can of explaining these. The text, as I mentioned, is going to be a very plain Jane email. You're only going to have one, very basic template to work with. If you do HTML using the letterhead, again, that's going to use the letterhead that you put in place that we just worked on, and be able to put your email into that letterhead. It's also going to be available for tracking purposes. Salesforce does track HTML emails that you send out. This is the one that I use the most because it does give you much more capability and functionality. If you don't like the letterhead, that's fine. Don't, just make it a very blank letterhead. It'll look like a text email. However, you can put images into it. You can have formatting on all of the text, and you can do the HTML email tracking through Salesforce. I'm not going to go into the tracking. If you want to learn a little bit more about that, you can go on to Salesforce's help and training website and search for HTML email tracking. And usually that's done on the contact or the email, and you can actually pull a related list onto those page layouts to view when people open the email, how many times they open the email, and the last viewed. So some good use case or use function that you can get out of those HTML email templates. The custom without using letterhead, this one and the Visual Force are going to be custom coded. It's basically like writing a web page for your email template. So the custom one, you actually just copy and paste your HTML code for that email template right into the email template, excuse me. Same with Visualforce. You actually create a Visualforce page and use that in your Visualforce email, or you create the Visualforce Apex coding and then you use that for the email. Like I mentioned, the ones that I use the most are going to be HTML and then text, because most people, most standard admins that are very brand new to Salesforce and maybe don't have a lot of experience with HTML don't use the Visualforce or custom without the letterhead options. So today I'm going to show you how to use the HTML, because that's going to give you the most functionality and most easy of setup and use within your organization. I'll go ahead and click Next here after I select the HTML option. Always want to make sure and check the box for making that available for use if you want to make it available immediately for your users. If you don't, if you're just creating on maybe a draft email template, you can leave that unchecked until you finalize the template. Maybe get some sign-off from another admin or executive. You'll want to name your email, and again, this needs to be very specific to what this email is going to be used for. This is not the subject of the email. This is just the name of the email record or the email template record. So I'll just put webinar demo email, but again, if you're using this email as an intro for sales, you'll want to put sales intro email so everyone knows exactly what it's used for. The letterhead, again, we created that webinar demo letterhead, so we're going to go ahead and use that one. And the email layout, and this basically gives you some options for how that email is going to look and where you're going to be able to put some text. If you click on this View Email Layout Options, it explains each one of those options for you. So the free form is just a basic box. Formal letter will give you a kind of a header and footer within the text. Promotion right and left, again, it gives you some areas that you can put text within your email body. And it'll block that out for us. So I'll go ahead and let's do a promotion right, just so we can see what that looks like. And I'm not going to put a description in there, but again, you could write that in or change your encoding. I usually don't change those very often or add much in there. I'll go ahead and hit Next. And what it's going to do now is it's going to take me right into my HTML version customizations. So how basically I can jump right into building out my email template. You'll see at the top that we have formatting options. Underneath that, we have all of our merge fields for dynamic fields that we want to use throughout the or on the email. We also have the subject line, which is obviously used for that email. And then we have the body of the email down here. And you'll notice that the letterhead or the wrapper that we're using is already shown here to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. We've got the color in the back with our banner at the top and our bottom line, and we didn't put anything else at the bottom. But you'll also notice you now have two areas that you can put text on this email template. Pull this over just a little bit. So this is again going back to that promotion right layout that we selected. So now basically it's just a matter of building your email template using your formatting controls and your merge fields. So let's say that this is going to be an intro email for a new opportunity where your pre-sales qualified them and passed them off to you as a sales rep or one of your sales reps. And your sales rep wants to just do an introduction for themselves saying, hey, this is my name and this is what I do and I'm excited to work with you. So what you're going to do is fill in your subject line. And let's say you want to personalize this. So we want to make this very personal. We're going to go ahead and go into the contact fields. We're going to go to the first name. And we're going to copy this merge field value here down into the subject line. That's as simple as that. You do need to make sure that if you're creating an email template that's going to be used in, for example, an opportunity, you only have access to fields and data either on the opportunity or on related contacts through the contact roles or the primary contact. So just be very aware of that. You can't grab lead fields or account fields if you're sending an email through an opportunity. So just be aware of where you're sending your email from and what data will be available to you. You don't want to have a bunch of blank merge fields in your email template when it's sent out. So we'll go ahead and put contact first name. I noticed that we got a couple questions in our question panel. I appreciate those. I'll get to those in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and just build this out, and then I'll get back to the questions around formatting in just as soon as I go through this. So to personalize the subject, put the contact first name merge field in there. I'll just put it on to introduce myself. Okay, and then down here you put in for your HTML text, or for the email template text, you basically can build this out and do the same thing, put your merge field in. I want to introduce myself. My name is. Now, again, if you want to make this available to all users and make it very dynamic, you can actually use the user fields for your email templates as well. As you're not just set to the opportunity or contact fields. So if you come down here to your merge field selection for field types, there is a sending user fields option, which will give you access to whoever's logged in and sending that email. So I want to put first name, copy, first name down in there, space, and then last name. And then that'll autofill for whichever one of your sales reps is sending that email. There may be a full, sometimes there's a full name. There it is. We'll just use name. So you don't have to break out first and last name. You can just use the full name. Excited to have the opportunity to show you our products. If you have any questions, or actually I'll just put I will be contacting you shortly. And I'll put feel free to check out our website in the meantime. Okay, now if you want to make the website a link, you can do that as well here. So you can click on your formatting controls to insert a link and put in your website name. Hit OK. That'll make the website text an actual clickable link for in that email template. The next thing that you can do here is actually put in your signature line. There is a signature option for each user where they can go into their email settings on their personal setup and settings and put in their own signature. You can override that in these email templates and say, don't use the individual's email signature. Use the one that I put in this email template. So here you can actually build out a custom email signature to allow this to be a dynamic signature for whoever is sending this email. So you can put, again, first our username. And something you want to be aware of here is if you're going to use user fields like phone number, fax, email, you want to make sure that's all filled out correctly on the user side. So you want to go into your user table or into your manage users section and make sure that's updated for each one of your users. Your users can also go in and update that themselves. So that may be something that if you're going to start using email templates, you let everyone know, hey, go into your users and update all of your contact information to be correct for how you want people to get in touch with you. So I'll put email. Oops. Guess I need to copy that. You want to make sure and put some sort of a delineation in front of whatever text merge field you're using, otherwise it's going to look a little funny. You can put phone and mobile. Okay, and again, just select those fields and put them down into your email template. Again, if you're sending an opportunity email, you can use text or data from that opportunity. So let's say you have some total dollars and just want to confirm, hey, I know we spoke about these products. Here's the total dollar amount that we had discussed. Have that be a merge field in your email template if you just want to send out a quick confirmation email about particular products or services or dollar figures that you discussed with your client, maybe a follow-up to a quote or proposal or something. So one other thing we can do here, and I know we already have the logo at the top, But if we want to put our company logo at the bottom, we can actually insert images right into our email template as well. So I've already put in and formatted an email logo signature option there for Kyazma. Again, we've got this right sidebar here that we can add some additional information. So maybe you want to put your Facebook link, your YouTube page. Again, fill this out on the right side for some additional information that you want to make available to them. Or maybe you want to put some like key product information in there, or a link to your online catalog. Again, this could be filled out as kind of a banner ad for the email template, or however you want to use that. Not necessarily used for this particular email type for just introducing ourselves. But again, get creative with that. You can use that however you'd like. Images can also be, I'm pretty sure images can be links. So you click on that, click on link, and then you can make that a clickable link as well. Okay. And that should be a clickable link when you send that out for your logo or your banner or whatever you want there. Let's get back up here. So again, if we were going to be setting this and we wanted to include some opportunity details or fields or information, you can click on that merge field type for opportunity fields, and then you'll have all of your opportunity and information available here. This is really, really useful for internal emails especially. So for example, if you're automatically sending out a notification to team members via a workflow to let them know, hey, this opportunity got to a specific stage, or this opportunity has been closed, and you're sending an email to your fulfillment team to fulfill the products that were sold to the client. The email can have all the information about the account name, the salesperson, the opportunity totals, all of that information you can build into those email notifications to make it much more useful. You can also put a link directly back to the record that is on the email or in reference in the email. So you can use like a detail link right back to that opportunity and post it in your email template. Very, very useful for quickly getting back into Salesforce and pulling up that opportunity or that record that is being referenced in the email, so they can continue pick up and continue working on that. I'm going to go back to a couple of our questions here. And it looks like the question is around using the HTML email maybe with a blank letterhead, where the text, because the letterhead has this banner around it, it does push the text over to the right when you send the email out. Can be a little bit annoying. I've dealt with that myself, and there really is no way around that unless you do some real deep digging. And the only way I've seen it actually changed is through using the Excel connector and exporting your HTML email records with all of the data, because there's some very small settings that you can make. But even doing that, I haven't found a way to, it still pushes the text over to the right a little bit. I'm going to show you real quick how to send a preview so we can see what this looks like in my email when it comes over to me. So once you get your email built out, the next stage here is to make sure you test your email. You want to make sure that your fields are filling in correctly. You want to make sure that the banner and letterhead look okay. So what it gives you, and actually I'll go ahead and go to next here. We'll go ahead and go to the next page. When you're creating the email template for the first time, you actually walk through creating the HTML version and then the actual text version. So if someone's email does not allow HTML to be displayed in their email tool, you can actually create a text version as well. And I usually just copy the text from the HTML using that button and then just kind of clean it up a little bit for spacing, etc. Again, you're not going to have images in the text version, but you can still put links. So if you have like a full link that you want to include, it's just not going to, you can't have just the text, you have to have the actual URL spelled out, so when they get it in their email, they can copy and paste it to their browser. So that's how you get the text version of the email. We'll go ahead and hit save here, and that'll take us back to the actual email template record. Once you're back here, this gives you, this is basically your email template, all completed, set up, and ready to go. You can edit the HTML version, edit the text version, or edit any of the properties at the top here. with the exception of letterhead and because it doesn't allow you. So if I edit properties, there's a few things that it does not allow you to change, like the letterhead and the email layout. You can't change those on that email because you already have text in there, and it would mess everything up. But you can change the name, you can change the folder where it's saved, etc. Got another question about using a Word document and pasting that into a letterhead. As far as I know, there's no way to create a Word document and paste that into the letterhead as if the Word document were the actual email. Excuse me. There is a way, though, in the email. This may be may not exactly answer the question that was entered, but there is a way to have templated attachments. So let's say it's a follow-up email and you always want to attach a piece of marketing material to that template. You can attach a file, and that file will be used for any email that gets sent out using that email template. May not be exactly answering the question that came in, but that can be useful and very helpful so your users aren't having to attach that every single time. If you have a document or a Word doc that is very nicely formatted and you want to enter that into your email, I would probably just make a very simple email template saying, hey, check out this document with information, or make the email template very plain Jane and simple, and then just attach the file as a standard attachment. If your Word document is a much nicer document to use, or a PDF, it may be a little bit better for that. Go back to doing our preview. So I'm going to show you the preview and testing capabilities here. So if I go here to, you can actually send a test and verify merge fields on your email templates, which you'll want to do. If I click Send Test and Verify, it brings up a box that allows me to indicate what record I want to use as my my test, as well as which contact or lead I want to use as the person. It's not going to send an email to that person. You actually dictate if an email needs to get sent to preview it in your email tool. You can actually send that to whoever you'd like here, and I'll just send it to myself. Let's go ahead and select the contact here, and I think I have Dory. We did some demos with some Disney names not too long ago, so I'll go ahead and put Dory in there. Dory the friend. If you guys know Finding Nemo at all, that's their friend on Finding Nemo. The related record we probably don't need because we're not really sending this from, let's say, an opportunity. It only had user and contact information associated with it. But this is also where you could, if you had a bunch of opportunity fields, merge fields, you could relate this to an opportunity to use as your test for the email. I'm going to leave that blank for now. We'll go ahead and hit OK, and then I'm going to pull up my email client and show you what this looks like in my email. Let me see if I can get to some of these other questions as I'm pulling this up as well. Okay. For the email tracking, there was a question about that for the HTML emails. I believe that's available from Group Edition and up. Don't quote me on that. I know for sure it is available in Professional and Enterprise and up, but I'm pretty sure it's available in Group Edition as well. I can show you real quick where to go to look for that. Basically, let's get back to, open another tab here so I don't lose our information. If you go to your leads or your contacts, and I'm just open up a contact and edit the layout here, you should see HTML email tracking as a related list, or an option for one of your related lists. Okay, so here's our related lists and HTML email status. So you see that related list there. We already have pulled onto our page layout. So you see HTML email status here. It'll show you the subject of the email, the date it was sent, date open, number of times open, and last open. If I double click on that, you can also add or remove whatever fields are available there as well. So that's where you'll want to check, either on your contact or your lead record. Go ahead and edit layout and look for that related list in the page layout editor to see if HTML email tracking is available. Great question about editing the email. And yes, I'm going to show you how to actually use the email template off of a record as well. You can edit an HTML email or a text email on the fly for each of your users. So if they're sending an email, they can actually change the text on those before they send it out. The custom email without letterhead and Visualforce email template types, you cannot edit before they get sent out. Usually for those, if something needs to be editable, or if I need to have like a text box for information for our users to modify, I'll put a text field on the record they're sending the email from, and allow them to, and I'll just let them know, hey, if you need to add some additional text to this particular email template, just put it in that text box on the record and use that on your email template as a merge field. Wait a second, I was logged out of my email there. Let's get to some of these other questions there. So if there's anything that I've shown you that doesn't really fit your particular situation, I'd be happy to, or any of our consultants would be happy to get on a call and kind of talk through what your use case is to see if what you're trying to accomplish will actually work for your particular use case. Everyone does things just a little bit different, and so you might be seeing something different on my screen than what you have in your Salesforce. If there's something here that is just completely different than what I'm showing you, we'd be happy to take that offline. I don't want to get into any individual use cases today. It's just showing you the basics on how to set it up, and if you see that something's very, very different, then we can go over that over the phone after the fact. We'll take that offline. So let me pull over this email that I sent to myself as a test, and then once we do this, I'll show you how to then use the email template, and I'll show you how you can show your users how to use that email template. And I will say that HTML emails display differently whether you're using Outlook or Google Apps. We use Google Apps, so our emails are just a little bit different than if you're maybe in Outlook. So here, I'll pull up my email. This is the email that I sent over to myself as a preview. You'll notice that I've got the text here. It is floating to the right just a little bit. You'll see that it's offset. The email actually starts over here. The text gets pushed over, centered just a little bit in the page layout, so it can look a little funky depending on how big your screen is and what email client you're using. But this is the email. You can see that all of our merge fields filled in for my name, for Dory's name, for the email subject line has Dory's name at the top. My signature filled in for all of my information that's in our Salesforce. That way I don't have to fill any of that out. That's just the preview and the test of that email. I'm going to show you now how to actually use the email. So I'm going to go into our Dory contact here, and I'm going to send her an email. So to send email in Salesforce, you actually use the activity history and click on Send an Email. Once you're in here, you can select a template. Go to the folder where you saved that template, and I think that in here, yep, that in our unfiled. As soon as you select that template, it'll pop the template into the actual email for you. It puts the subject line in, puts all the information for the contact that you had pre-selected. That's one thing you'll want to make sure of, to pre-select the contact you're sending it to, in case there are contact-related fields that are needing to pull into that template. Now that it's here, prior to sending it out, I can actually click on this and edit the text. So if I want to just add some additional information or move things around, I can do that here prior to sending it out. Again, that only works for text and HTML email templates. So I can put that over here if I wanted to just clean that up. And then you'll notice here that you have the attachments. If I had put a predefined email attachment in that email template, it would already be attached. So that's kind of a nice part about using those predefined template and attachments. So I'll go ahead and you can see here we've got all the information. I've got my BCC turned on, so it automatically sends me a copy of any email I send through Salesforce. Let me see. There we go. So if I go ahead and send this now, I'll basically get that same email that I'd already tested. So I'm not going to do it right now, but that's just to show you how you can show your users how to use those email templates by clicking on Send an Email through Activity History, selecting the template or entering the contact, selecting the template, attaching any files they need, and then clicking Send after they make any updates that they would like to make. I'll go ahead and cancel this out. Let's take a look at any of our other questions we have here. Okay. So if you've created a field in Salesforce and it's not available as a merge field, it may be because of the field type. A lot of larger text area fields don't show up in certain areas because Salesforce doesn't pull those. There's just too much data in some of those fields. There's too many variables that can happen. So make sure that your fields that you're wanting to pull onto an email template are very plain Jane and vanilla. You're not using like the HTML or dynamic text boxes or large text areas. Most of those don't pull over very well. Also be careful with the standard description field. That may not be available in certain areas as well. The question, I got another question about auto emails, so sending auto emails through Salesforce that are auto-generated based on activities or status changes. Yes, you can do that, absolutely. The caveat there is it uses workflow rules, and you have to be on Enterprise Edition or higher, or be on Professional Edition and have paid for workflow rules as an add-on feature. So just a caveat there. You could set up workflow rules to send these email templates. I can show you that real quick here. Let me get into our setup area, which are there. Let's go down to our build section. Oh, wrong one. It's under create. So you just go in and create a normal workflow rule, except the workflow, you basically dictate, okay, if on an opportunity my stage goes to closed one, I want to send an email out. So I can create a new rule. I can set my criteria for that rule based on the opportunity. Again, you'll want to have the email template already in place in order to set all this up. So you'll set up your email template first and then come back and create your workflow rule. Let's create the demo test for an auto email. You set your evaluation criteria, so every time a record is created or subsequent, it's edited subsequent to meeting the criteria. Basically, this option is saying, if I want to change it to closed one and send this email, I can evaluate the criteria when it's created, and then anytime it is not closed one and then it gets set to closed one, it'll reevaluate the criteria. So we'll go ahead and put in here, for example, opportunity stage equals closed one. One thing here to note is if you're using a pick list field to set options in Salesforce for rule criteria or pick lists or creating custom list views, and you see this spyglass here, make sure and use the spyglass. It'll make your life a whole lot easier than trying to manually remember the text and manually enter it. It also gives you all of the options for that pick list. So I'll go ahead and put closed one, insert selected. And again, this is just setting up the criteria for when an email notification might be sent out. So we'll go ahead and do that. Then once you're here, we can add our workflow action. So these are the things that have to happen based on the workflow. This is getting into more of a kind of a workflow discussion, but if you're wanting to send out notifications based on things happening or statuses being updated in the system, you can do that here. So you can send a new email alert as a workflow action from, again, when the opportunity is set to close one. You set your description. This would be closed one, send, follow-up, email. The email template, again, you'll want to have that created, and this is where you will select that email template to be sent out. I'll go ahead and just select the one that we used as our demo email for now. And then the recipient type. Now again, you can send it to internal users or you can send it to maybe a contact that's on a related record. So in the opportunity, we do have the primary contact in the contact roles that we can select, and that's what it'll use. So you can go to recipient type, you can use users, you can send it to all of your users, you can send it to a specific role within your organization, you can send it to a related user, maybe just the opportunity owner, you want to send them a notification if something changes on their opportunity. The related contact, an email field, maybe you just have a field, an email field on a contact or on an opportunity. So you have a lot of options here for who this email template will be sent to based on that opportunity being set to closed one. I'll just go ahead and do user and put myself in for now. Again, if I had selected any of these other ones, like a related contact, you'll see the primary contact information as fields. And you can add as many of these as you'd like. So I can put in like account teams, I can put in roles, maybe I just want to, and that's not going to do anything for now. So you have a lot of, you can send it to multiple recipients, different types of recipients, and then if you want to send it to just an email that you always want to send these notifications to, you can also type that into the additional email section here, and you can have up to 5 custom emails you send that to, maybe a distribution email list. We use these a lot for notifying our operations team of certain things that happen in the system, or notifying back to our sales team if if we have an issue. We use this additional email section. The from email address, you will only have one of 2, possibly 3 options. Sending it from the current user's email address, so whoever triggered that workflow to send that notification, that's who will actually be the sending user's email address. And then the default workflow user's email address. On workflows, if you go into your workflow settings here on the left, you can click and open that tab. You can actually set a default workflow user so that if they're internal communications, and maybe it's just you want, hey, management or the admin is sending all these emails, you can actually set up like an admin user to send those particular emails out for all of your workflows in the system. Sometimes that eliminates some confusion so that people aren't getting emails from people that they really didn't intend for those to come from. So just be aware of that. Perfect. So that's basically it. I can go ahead and save that workflow rule and make it active. I won't do that right now because this isn't one that we want to use internally. But that's how you would set up a standard workflow rule with an email notification being sent out to a client or an internal person. I think that's most of our questions so far. If anyone did not get their question answered, please go ahead and raise your hand. I can also, if you'd like to ask an oral question, I'd be happy to take you off of mute and we can have that discussion here in the call. Email templates, again, part of the getting the most use and best use out of email templates is understanding, first off, what emails are being sent out by your users on a regular basis that are basically the exact same thing. So if you're following up on a large list of leads you got at a trade show and you're sending a lot of these, hey, thanks for talking to me emails, you might want to set up a standard email template for everyone to use for that. Also, another thought here is to understand your own internal processes. If you document your internal processes from step 1 to step finished, and then understand that within each one of the steps of the process, it would be useful to have an email template already planned and used for certain steps. Again, that's another great way to document where these email templates may make the most sense for your users. Just kind of going back as well, for the process that you dictate for your users within the system, if you're using email templates in certain areas, just make sure and create folders and or naming conventions so that your users know exactly when and where and how to use those email templates. Okay, so we're just about at the end of our webinar today. I want to just thank everyone for joining us, and also thank you for the questions. We had a lot of great questions today. Again, if I didn't get to your question, I apologize, but feel free to give us a call. Our sales team and or our consulting team would be happy to answer any one-off questions that you have. Let me go ahead. I'm also going to post in the chat panel a link to a survey that we'd like you, if you can, please go to the survey and fill this out for this webinar. Give us some feedback. We're trying to make these a little bit more useful for our attendees, and that would give us an opportunity to get some feedback from you as we do this. Let me get back to, and if you want to put in there that, you know, we had tons of technical difficulties, please put that in there, because yeah, that will help us a lot if we see that we're having a lot of issues with our certain webinar tool or whatnot. So I will be posting that here into the chat. Here we go. There we go. So I'm posting it in the chat. If you can go to that link and give us some feedback, that would be very, very useful. I'm not going to get any bonuses based off it. I tried working that out, but they said no. So, but it would just be very helpful for us to get that in. Again, I appreciate you guys joining us today for the webinar. Again, if we jump off of this and you don't have a chance to copy that webinar survey link or follow-up survey, you can always go to info.kyazmallc.com/Kyazma-webinar-survey. I'm only saying that because we're recording this webinar, and then that way people can go to that and enter their own webinar survey if they decide to. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now, and we look forward to hopefully having you on a follow-up Ask the Admin training webinar in the future. Take care.